As you can see, we have already prepared our concrete geometrically as well as profiled it for the repair area. We have done this according to ACI and ICRI recommendations, including tying back any loose reinforcing steel and cleaning the reinforcing steel. We have a clean joint edge as well as a prepared substrate. Part of undercutting the steel includes being able to have 3/4 of an inch clearance so your hand can freely go underneath. This will allow the repair mortar to adequately go beneath the steel, and we also have 90-degree corners, minimizing the chance of cracking as well as popping out of the repair area. We do not have any re-entrant corners, which can propose to cracking. Our whole area has been mechanically profiled according to ICRI concrete surface profile recommendations, and it is rough, exposing and creating greater surface area. As we look at the CSP chips, we can see that it is not anywhere near a CSP of 5 or a CSP of 6. But it is actually going to be a CSP of 7 or greater. And for repair mortars going over 1/4 of an inch, ICRI recommends a CSP of 5 or greater. Our reinforcing steel has also been cleaned. You can see that there is minimal scale left on this, and it is not a full white finish according to NACE guidelines. But we do allow, with the Mapefer 1K, a near white finish. No heavy scale, and you should check with your manufacturer of your corrosion inhibitor to make sure the condition of the steel required. Here we are brushing on our high alkaline, high pH corrosion inhibitor Mapefer 1K. You can see how easily it goes on by brush, and some contractors prefer to apply it by a gloved hand for speediness. You can see that it is a dark silvery blue color, and I'm really not taking into account any drips or drags that may get onto the concrete substrate, as it is not going to act as a bond breaker once curing. You should also consult with your manufacturer to make sure that their corrosion inhibitor will act as the same. We want to fully encapsulate the reinforcing steel, the top and the bottom. To see the bottom of the reinforcing steel, we're utilizing a small mirror, and you can see the bright white finish on the underside. That also needs to be coated with Mapefer 1K, as this could lead to point corrosion of the reinforcing steel. So by hand, I'm going to get underneath the reinforcing steel, and I'm going to smooth out the Mapefer 1K, encapsulating the whole surface of the reinforcing steel. And now as I put the mirror back underneath it, you can see that dark blue silver finish is all the way around. After Mapefer 1K cures, it dries to a light silvery blue color, and it can be open for 2 weeks until coated with concrete. Now we cannot apply a repair mortar directly onto dry concrete, as concrete acts as a sponge. So we do want to get the surface profile to be a saturated surface dry condition. Typically in the field, this could be achieved by flooding, putting a soaker hose on the repair area for multiple hours, and then letting it air dry. The key here is to have the surface just underneath the top to be saturated, but the actual top surface to be free of standing moisture. On our horizontal application, we're going to do a hand pat, and in lieu of an epoxy bonding agent, we're actually utilizing our repair mortar as a scrub coat. What this does is it soaks up some of that free moisture left over from the SSD, but it also pushes the repair mortar down into the fine crevices, nooks, and crannies of the surface profile that we've achieved. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to get it underneath the reinforcing steel, we're going to get it pretty much everywhere that we can get it installed within the working time of the mortar that we're going to install. With the Planitop 12SR, that is 1 hour. Here we continue to pack it in, bringing it out of the bucket, wheelbarrow, trolley, whatever you would want to use. And at the end, we're going to start to push this and pack it into the repair area with force by hand. We're going to get it to a even levelness, and then we're going to take our mag float and we're going to start to trowel or float off the surface. Notice how I'm trying to work from the center of the repair towards the edge of the repair. This ensures that the repair is bonded well to the joint wall of the repair area, as well as not pulling anything away from that wall, resulting in a cold joint and a crack. Planitop 12SR can also be pumped through a rotor stator carousel pump. This is utilizing a little bit higher water ratio, and as you can see that the material flows nicely through an 1¼ inch hose, and we're finishing it off onto the area that was already hand packed. Now Planitop 12SR has a long working time. It's over 1 hour. It is sulfate resistant, making it ideal for extreme environments. On vertical applications, we are also utilizing a scrub coat of the mixed product. Now we're going to hand pack this over the SSD substrate, and you want to make sure that you follow your manufacturer's recommendations of application thickness. This thickness was 3.5 inches, and that's pretty much the maximum that we would allow if exposed reinforcing steel is available. If not, we would only allow 2 inches. So I'm going to hand pack this, and this is the same consistency that was originally hand packed into the horizontal repair area that we recently seen. So it's one product, one consistency that can be used horizontally as well as vertically. And as I hand pack this in here, you're going to notice that the material is still fairly workable. We're working it around the reinforcing steel. We've already done our scrub coat, so we're pretty confident that we're going to have a good bond. I'm going to pack enough in here until I'm able to tool it with a hand float. And now that I'm almost done here, hand packing this in, I'm going to start to float this with a magnesium float. We really do not want to use a steel float as the initial application or steel trowel, because with the long working time we want this material to breathe and to cure adequately and not create blisters, which is what you would get with a steel trowel. Now again, I'm trying to work from the center towards the outside edge of the repair, working it into the corner so I get that tight intersection between the saw cut and the repair. And you may need to add more material. It's very simple by hand packing. And you would always finish your repair area similar to the surrounding concrete or per the project specifications. You can see how the material hangs. And again, with the magnesium float, I'm finishing the area, striking it off to the proper elevation to the surrounding concrete. And we will show a final cured surface of this at the end of the presentation. So Planitop 12SR, at the same consistency as being pumped, can also be sprayed utilizing air in an 80 cubic foot per minute or 80 CFM rate of your rotor stator pump. You can see how nicely this material hangs as if it is low pressure sprayed, and how easily it is workable compared to the hand packed application. With the long working time, I'm not worried about cold joints between what was hand packed as well as what was sprayed. Planitop 12SR does reach approximately greater than 10,000 psi. It does have fibers as well as silica fume and corrosion inhibitor. Typical applications for this product in extreme environments: tunnels, aqueducts, as well as wastewater treatment plants, clarifier tanks, etc. And now we're going ahead and we're finishing the full repair, and we've waited an hour and we're putting a hard steel trowel over the top surface. And it is still fairly workable, as you see some of those cracks and crevices from the magnesium float come out of the top surface. This is the final cured surface. Now this was just cured with a piece of plastic over it, and this was immediately after the plastic was removed. You can see how the material does dry to a lighter gray color, and you can also notice that there are no cracks as well as no separation from the joint wall. And then you would proceed with protecting this repair with the engineering specifications for the project that you're on, whether that be an epoxy coating, there could be a penetrating water repellent, or you could just leave it as is. And then as we finish the presentation here, you're going to notice some of the projects, a project that we recently completed in Washington State, and it is a wastewater treatment facility. You can see that the material is staged off-site in a covered location. You can also notice the colorful packaging. Now this contractor chose to mix Planitop 12SR in a rotary drum mixer and then trough it down to the bottom of the wastewater treatment tank, which would then be put into wheelbarrows and then trolleyed over to where they were placing it. Now they're not doing actual infill repairs here. They're actually utilizing this product as an overlay to bring back up the elevation on this heavily sloped area. And they're utilizing bull floats as well as proper CSP profiles.